Hello and welcome to MacYak 161 for March 31st, 2022. How the heck y'all doing?
Good.
And we have a very special guest here. Who's that man? That man with the plan?
I don't know if he's special. Yeah, he's been on, what? This is fourth time.
Yeah, this is Fourth Timers Club. It's me, Andy Richter, the Ghost of Charlemagne, and I think Hitler's dog.
That was a weird episode that we had there, but we all managed to get those guests in. So
yeah, Pretty strange.
Well, happy to have you here, Ron, for the
thanks for having
closing
me.
ceremonies of MARCHintosh, of course.
Yeah, it's
But,
very
already
sad.
over here.
Bring it.
Thanks,
That's
Bruce.
That's
Thanks.
what you get for living in Tomorrowland.
So, has anybody been doing anything cool recently? Anything they want to talk about or anything like that?
I got a new branding for my channel.
Nice.
Was
Yeah.
that
Did you
tattooed
get
into
it?
your butt, or how are you displaying that?
No, you have to go to my channel to see it. So I'm
Okay,
not gonna
thank
show
you
it
for
here,
clearing
so,
that up. I
yeah.
was
And you can
concerned.
only see it when you subscribe.
That's right. No, thanks to Jay's wife, who's a very excellent graphics designer. I have a new branding, and it looks really good. I like it, even though Jay tried to steal it before, or
No, I actually saw
design.
the first design she came up with. Like, I want that. So
Oh,
you'll never know what you could have had.
Jay gets
Oh.
first pick, of course.
I'll have to
And
tell
then,
Whitney that.
And then she stopped. Then she closed her office door whenever she was working.
Yeah, that's what she told me. She says I had to stop Jay. I had to not send Jay anything, and
Yeah.
Locks her door, puts an ATM in front of it. You have to withdraw money before you can get it.
yeah.
She would.
It's a good idea. Good idea.
Mhm.
What about you, Bruce?
It's 2 weeks since we've had a show, and so I am bound to have done something between that. But all I can think of is the fact that I've been sick all week and feeling like crap. And that seems to be about the highlight of the last 2 weeks, as far as I can remember. But I'm sure I did some other stuff.
You're sure you did some other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take you at that, and maybe next week or the week after you'll be feeling a little bit better.
And no, it's not COVID. It's just a good old-fashioned cold. It's been such a long time since I've had one.
Ron, what have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, it's spring in the Midwest, so I too have been feeling like crap. I'm just getting over a bunch of allergy stuff, so it's never fun. But I agree with Bruce. Like some of these novel illnesses after global pandemics and everything, like it's just very refreshing. Like you go to the doctor and you're like, yeah, I feel like I'm about to die, and they check you out and they're like, oh, it's just gonorrhea, and you're just like, I was like, oh, I could do that standing on my head. In fact, I was in a bathroom. That's probably how I got it. So
What bathroom have you been going to, Ron?
well, it's the restroom. It's the restroom at the airport. It's very cruisy. Weird stuff happens. So, but no, I don't know. What have I really been doing? I got my butt kicked this week by Steve in lightsaber game-a-majig. And that was kind of fun. And yeah, I don't know. It's just trying to make it through the end of the month with the MARCHintosh stuff. It's been kind of a banner year for the event. It's year 2, and a lot of people were really participating. So it's been a real deal to kind of like stay on top of like promoting what other people are doing and make sure the links are getting out and retweeting things and all that. So that's taken up a lot of time.
A whole section we're going to talk about MARCHintosh later in the show, but that's been keeping me busy too.
Not trying to jump the gun. Sorry.
No. Jay, do you have anything to share?
I did a few things, but I don't really remember if I live streamed it or not.
You joined me on the live stream. You were tinkering around with stuff.
Was that?
Remember?
That feels like months ago. Yeah, I did that.
And then you were prodding a dead Mac Mini.
Yes, the disaster Mac Mini that I may have covered here before. I don't have pictures ready now, but it was submerged in a flood, and it stayed there for a while. And I was like, I'll fix that. I didn't fix it. I got it to a point where it showed life, and then with a thermal camera, I figured out that the integrated graphics are having some issues, so that's game over for now.
Oh,
yeah. And I think that's it.
Okay. All right. So we went around to everybody. I have some things I've been working on. I did a live stream. Was it yesterday? Yes. Well, into this morning, battling Adam's Mac 2 that he sent me. Got it to work eventually. I don't know how. It was screwing up, and then I cleaned it, and then it worked. So magic, yay! But anyone who saw that, there were 2 boards more of that to go. So. So that's going to be fun.
So you're streaming after MacYac then?
No. Trina's streaming after MacYac. I'm going to sit this one out. But I did have a little cameo in Ken's latest video that went out. and so he did a video about this Macintosh prototype that was modified and created to show, what these Macs could be. It was called the Colombo Project, and I have a little cameo in there, which was fun because when I visited Ken in August, we were actually looking at the book where this prototype was in, and so actually I took a photo of him, looking at the book, and he fed it into the episode, and that was fun. So if you haven't checked out Ken's episode, there's a little Easter egg in there of me, and a few other little clips from some other YouTubers showing some cool machines and stuff like that. So
it was really weird to see you show up in that, Steve, especially like the Colombo machine, especially since you're more of a McLeod fan.
McLeod?
Maybe Macmillan and wife.
I had my Macmillan and wife shirt on. I just had to remove it for that sketch.
You're a real Quincy fan, not so much the Colombo.
It doesn't pay as much as the Colombo bucks. I'm sorry.
These are old TV shows, kids at home.
Welcome to the Elderly Discuss Television, episode 161.
Now, Steve, can I ask? I'm a little scared to go check out that Ken video because the last cameo I saw of you, it was you crying in a wig, and
that's okay. That was on Dan's channel, Canadian Computer Collector.
Can I expect the same from the Ken video? Or?
No, I adorn my regular shaped head in this one, so cool. It's not. It's so the children aren't scared. There's a wider audience there, but those people aren't watching Dan's channel because they know Dan, and they know that children are not allowed. Only cats.
It's kind of like letting your 5-year-old watch Mike's Mac Shack. There's things you don't do. Yeah.
Mommy, what does boo mean? Oh God, no.
It's okay. Mike's Mac Shack is kind of a cautionary tale at times, so maybe you do let your kids. It's like those films you used to watch in Driver's Ed, like Blood on the Highway, those type of things.
I like that Mike has created a playlist of the little bits in his live streams where he electrocutes himself or something goes wrong, or a silly man with a beard runs away from an exploding capacitor. So these are important things to check out. So that's why. Yeah, Mike couldn't make it today, but go check out those little shorts that he made, and you feel like he's there. You get that same energy is there.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool. So, Jay, you noted that there were some software updates security-wise that Apple released fairly recently. Do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yes, this afternoon we got Monterey 12.3.1, iOS and iPadOS, whatever version plus 0.1. And for the Apple TV and the Watch, some updates as well. Now, for the Mac, what's the word I'm looking for? Monterey and Big Sur did not get any updates. This was strictly for the latest operating systems only. And they try to mask it with their usual.
Wait! You just said Monterey, and Monterey is the latest.
Yeah,
that's what he just said.
But he said that Monterey and Big Sur did not get up.
Yeah, because
whatever the two latest ones were.
They just got an update this morning, not related to the security updates.
Oh,
so Monterey got an update. Everything else did not for the Mac.
Okay.
And it's like, oh yeah, we fixed an issue with battery life being impacted, and that's all great. But if you read the security notes across all operating systems, they fixed a 0-day security vulnerability. That's why they had to push out these updates just 2 weeks after the last, which Apple really, really hates doing. But yeah, it's important you install these updates because it's a pretty significant security bug that you want to have patched sooner rather than later.
So you're saying I should go to my Mac Mini and go to software update in Tiger and see if there's an update?
Yes, and OS 9 as well.
Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. This is why we watch.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Then there's this news article that I saw in Mac Rumors, and this is that Apple will no longer be fixing any phones that are marked as stolen.
There goes my business.
Yeah. So, this has been an interesting topic because everyone knows somebody or has lost a phone themselves or knows somebody who's lost a phone. And in the past, Apple has sort of been like, well, we can't do anything. And, that's really it. You call your cellular carrier, they maybe block the serial number, the IMEI number, or whatever it is. to try and prevent anybody from registering or activating service on that device in the future. But it basically becomes a glorified iPod Touch if you didn't have a password on it, if you didn't have activation lock and all these things that are now prevalent on iOS since version 7 or so. But now there's this registry that's this global database that has been there for a while, and apparently if an item is identified by the IMEI number as being missing or stolen, Apple will not service or repair that phone. So I think that's good because it gives people one less reason to steal it, but then again, they're just going to find other ways to sell that or take it apart. But it does, I guess, pause, some avenue of these thieves to go and get these things refurbished.
Would it? I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking crazy here, but would it make sense for them to accept the phone for repair and then hand it over to the authorities?
And wouldn't that be an excellent idea?
They wouldn't.
They would never do it.
That's
unfortunately, that's too much work and liability for them.
Or this register of stolen phones, is there a link back to the original owner to then let the owner know that it's been handed in for repair or something like that, and let them pursue it legally?
There is it's called iCloud. It's a free service you can sign up for.
It's on the cloud.
You're like, hey, crap, it's at the Apple store at the mall. Maybe I should just head on down there.
How long has this registry been around?
That's a good question. I'm on their website. I remember submitting my iPhone to a similar registry, but this was, I think, an AT&T specific registry because I lost my original iPhone. I gave it to my brother. He had it stolen from him. So this goes back 2008, something like that. And that was a completely different registry. But it says, let me share the screen here. For this page, because
I've been running such a registry since 2006,
and I have used your registry even well before I knew you. So, so here's the page here. So, operates a global registry on behalf of the mobile industry and associated vertical sectors, and so,
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So there's a contact us. I don't know exactly how you would submit a registered device. I'd have to actually read the page, not gloss over words, but
right. Cool.
I mean, at least there's a registry.
Yeah, I'm glad I finally have something that ties in with Apple.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, 9 times out of 10 these days, anybody with the iPhone, they'll either have a passcode on it or they'll have their iCloud associated with it. So if their device is stolen, there is some, measurement of they could lock the device, but it's nice to know at least there's one more method that Apple is preventing any unauthorized repairs from people who have snatched it from you.
Well, I mean, usually, and here's the thing too, and Jeremy even brought this up about, when he had it snatched, he bricked it with his iPad because you have the Find My Phone on there. And if you sit there and say it's lost or stolen, it automatically wipes everything from the phone first off, and you can't do anything. You can't even restore it without the iCloud password.
Well, yeah. Bruce would prove you wrong on that
one. You're really good at guessing. Yeah.
The important thing, the important point of difference with the iPad that I had was that it was actually given to someone. It was sort of handed over to someone's, I don't need this anymore. Here is this device. Now, of course, the thing they should have done was left it with no lock on it whatsoever. But what they did was the next best thing and left it with an incredibly easy password, which was 111111.
And I gotta write that down. Hold on.
So I got this. I would not have had the ability to unlock this one had it not been left in a state where it could be easily unlocked. I didn't realize that. It sat here for months doing nothing, but I eventually figured it out. So yeah, that was a lucky thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pure luck. If they had a real passcode or something on it, then
no chance.
There's no chance.
You only get a certain amount of tries, and then that's game over.
Yeah, and just to be clear about this too, there's a lot of people out there and a lot of selling ways to unlock iCloud lock phones. Do not believe them, because as soon as you update, guess what? It goes right back to being cloud locked.
But not only that, I mean, even a lot of those websites where they're saying, this will unlock your phone, you're downloading these really suspicious sort of apps. I mean, you just wouldn't want to try it because, who knows what it's doing.
Yeah, put it to you this way: there's no real unlock except for Apple to unlock it. That's the only people that can actually unlock it. I mean, nobody out there on the internet can actually unlock a iCloud lock phone. Period. Not going to happen.
Yeah, and the minute these 3-letter government agencies figure out a way around that, Apple patches it like a week later. So it's just one of those things. But
that was one of the big things with the whole deal of when you plug your iPhone into an unrecognized device, that it would turn around and say, hey, do you trust this device? Or you have to unlock your phone the first time before it'll even charge and stuff. Because I saw some cybersecurity events and stuff. They had just like a poster and like cables coming out the other side, and it was just sort of like, let's see what you got, basically. It's like, charge your phone here.
Well, the thing about that though, Ron, is that the way that works is it will charge, but it will not pass data at all. The data is blocked, but the charging.
Well, the one he saw probably did do the data part without telling people.
The essentially the tip that they often give to people who travel a lot or are regularly having to charge their phone from hole in the wall USB ports or in shopping centers or something. The tip with that is to always take along a power only cable. So a cable that only has the power wires connected and the data wires are not connected. And that just gives you that extra level of security that you're only taking power from them. They can't get anything from the phone once you're plugged into their network.
And it's easy to do that with a USB plug because there's 4 connectors on there, and 2 of them, if you put tape over them, the other 2, it's going to just charge it.
You could just buy power only cables. I mean, yes, you can modify them, but you can buy power only cables. And I've got a couple here that all they'll do is charge.
Yeah, there's apparently, as I'm reading the Apple article on this about using USB accessories and the toggle you could turn on in settings, they're saying that some devices that charge your phone communicate with your phone to determine the voltage and stuff like that. And in those cases, your phone will not charge unless you unlock it. So that's interesting.
Okay.
I used to have a little adapter that you would put your USB cable in, and you would put the adapter into some random charge port in an airport or wherever. And if it tried to do anything with the data, it would flash a red LED, and then it would send random data to that port, crashing the machine. Used it a few times. I think only once did I ever see the blinky lights. So it was fun.
As somebody who travels a lot, I also think about how at hotels and things like that, how the shift has been, rather than just have like a convenient surge protector, like a surge bar or power bar out for customers to then, or whoever staying, to bring their own things and plug them in. There's now like USB ports everywhere. And that always bugs me because you don't know what's on the other side of that. It could just be nothing. It could be that some chuck wagon like broke the port and you're going to plug your thing in and short something out. Or it could be some really enterprising person that has one of those like USB nuke devices that it's just a plastic panel. They pull it off the wall, they install it behind there, you plug your stuff in, you plug your device in, and it's just like, how's 110 feel to you? You just don't know. So maybe it's a good idea to just bring your own.
Those ports are broken or loose anyway. So USB-A is not a port that is designed to plug and unplug things randomly. In a dim hotel room when you're like half asleep, you're like, and you break the damn port.
Well, you get it wrong like 75% of the time or something, because you plug it in, it doesn't fit. You flip it, it doesn't fit. You plug it back, it doesn't fit. And one more time, yes, got it.
25% of the time,
then. You get it right 25% of the time?
Yeah.
So you get it wrong 75%? Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
One sounds more dramatic, though.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a similar thing with like public Wi-Fi's and stuff like that as well. A lot of people recommend against using public Wi-Fi's because once you're there, you are an IP address on that network, which makes you far more susceptible to some form of attack. So yeah, I mean it's funny that there's this push for public Wi-Fi's, but then of course from a security aspect, people are saying don't join a public Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So
I always bring my own Airport Express when I travel. And I go to the front counter. I said, "Hey, do you got an Ethernet cable?" "Oh, we have Wi-Fi." "I want an Ethernet cable." And
I always keep
that in. Create my own
firewall.
So you bring a wireless a Airport Extreme, and you don't bring an Ethernet cable.
Airport Express.
Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a 400-foot Ethernet cable to get all the way up the stairwell to his room on the third floor. So you gotta say, hey, what do you guys got? Because
I often forget the Ethernet
and
cable.
the 400.
You got the sewing kit or a 10100 Ethernet cable? What do you got here? Come on.
All right.
Oh, yeah, that's whenever I travel, it's always the Wi-Fi doesn't work anyway, or the disclaimer says we are not responsible for A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah,
that's why I use VPN too. So that's another.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the level of the hotel, they usually just block all this crap anyway. If you ever read the fine print of those agreements, we block torrents, we block this, we block email, we block that. It's like, okay, thanks.
I still have to find one that successfully tries to block that stuff. Because I will have my TV shows and movies when I'm on the road.
I remember trying to log into it was .mac email at the time, so that dates it. And I was just trying to use the webmail, and it was working, but the email client was not. They're like, "Oh yeah, we blocked it because there's a suspicious Apple site, so we blocked it." And I'm like, "You realize that's just email, right?" And they're just like, "Okay, well we'll talk to so and so." It's like, yeah, no, you won't. But anyway, moving right along. So that's it for the news. So we're moving on. We have some announcements of news of our own. So the Mac Yak Show is changing up the schedule a little bit. We're changing the format, so we're going
twice a week. You guys are
maniacs. Every other day, man.
Yeah, Ron's going to be hosting. Tell him more, Ron.
It's just going to be me and just a bunch of coffee and cigarettes, and just I'm powering through till the guys get back. They're supposed to be back any minute, folks.
No, we're going 24/7 now. So
we need to do a 24-hour stream. I think that Jay should lead that up.
We are doing it. It's not a matter of we should. We are doing it. That is going to happen.
And when we're sleeping, Bruce could be doing it. See.
All right, let's announce what the hell we're doing first. First of all, we are changing the schedule for Mac Yak. Instead of a weekly show, we are turning it to a bi-weekly show. The reason being that sometimes we are light on topics and there's not a lot to discuss for that particular week, and our schedules usually change. Our availability is either somebody can make it or one person can make it, and then the rest are like there's an avalanche and we can't all come. So we're changing it to a bi-weekly show. That way we have more time to put in topics in there. We have more time to collect quacks from people like you guys that are watching the show right now, and we have a lot more time to digest of the news and events that are going on that week. So that's going to be the schedule going forward, and we'll see how that works.
Yep. And it's bi-weekly. It's bi-weekly and 6 hours bi-weekly. Right?
No!
And some of the MacYak members are now getting so incredibly famous, doing cameos in just about every video out there.
Yeah.
They just barely have the time to even give us, one show every 2 weeks. So, this is all we could really do.
I should raise my fee to $5 instead of $4.50. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that.
Steve, it's one of those. Every biannual kind of things.
Sorry,
so you're going to move the schedule to biennial.
I don't think you guys use this word over there, but if in Australia, we would refer to this as a fortnightly show.
There we go. Bruce saves the day. Fortnightly. I like that.
Guys, they're switching the format. All Fortnite talk all the time. Get all your latest Fortnite information from 12-year-olds. These guys are going to have the scoop.
Oh boy, yeah. So
and Jay resigns from Mac Yak because he has no idea what they're talking about.
I know.
Jay's son is going to take over.
Terraria guy.
All right, so it's every other week. Just get that clear. None of this crazy business going on twice.
Now, what happens if it falls on a holiday?
Then we all roll dice and see what happens.
Yeah.
What if it's like New Jersey New Year?
Stop with the what ifs.
Out of town.
Ron is just playing.
Who did these banners?
I didn't do it.
Wasn't me.
Anyway,
just gonna fix it.
Okay, we'll buy you time.
There we go.
Is Bondi?
There is a video that I released relatively recently called It's or It's. It explains when an apostrophe is meant to be in the word it's. So just letting you know, if anyone wants to know how that is done, particularly whoever did these banners today, go and watch that video.
Greg is very silent. And if anyone is still confused about Fortnite, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, whatever, just make sure you're on our Discord so you can get the ping whenever we go live.
Yeah, because YouTube's notification system is in the
or if you smash that like button, that might work too. And also subscribe.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't need to do that.
What? Oh, yes. But you do need to
smash that like button.
Could have had that queued up like 5 seconds ago. Now you just gotta leave. You just gotta leave, Greg. There's no redeeming this. Shame. All right, so it's World Backup Day today. Hey! So we talk about backup pretty frequently here, and we've all taken turns shaming each other, more or less, about forgetting to back up something or you lose something or whatever. So today is World Backup Day, and we're going to talk a bit about backup strategies, horror stories, all that fun stuff. But today is the day to think about, is my important data backed up, my photos, my music, my documents, or whatever you have, your personal stuff, your work stuff. And get your best inquisitive face, just like, just like really start thinking about that. And most people will agree that a backup is not a backup unless you have that item in 2 places backed up. So, whether it's on a Blu-ray disc and external hard drive, or in the cloud and on a Blu-ray disc or something like that, or a dot matrix printout, whatever you have, make sure that it's in at least 2 places, because of the primary.
All those ones and zeros in after that.
Yes, well, that's fine. You just need a sheet feeder, or scanner, or document feeder, whatever the heck. Just do that. But,
Steve, what if I have a G4 Mac Mini that sits on top of a refrigerator that backs up all of my other machines in my basement of wonders? Is that a good strategy?
As long as the refrigerator is not on, yes.
What if there are rabbits nearby?
As long as they can't chew the cables, yes. We have answers for all of these questions. Whatever scenario you have, fridge, rabbits, we got you covered.
About the backups, can I just relay one thing?
Absolutely not.
It's an email that I got earlier, and it's about Backblaze. Now, we've talked about Backblaze before. Most of us probably use it. Mike was going to be here to talk at least 45 minutes about the amount of terabytes he's recovered through Backblaze. But I'm going to put this in the chat. There's a link that'll get you 1 month free, but they also emailed out a 20% discount code that you can use when you sign up. Now, with 20% discount, I think you end up paying $30 for the year or something ridiculously cheap like that. So it is totally worth it. So check it out.
There is Backblaze is something I was introduced to by you guys and have been using, religiously ever since. And there are some frustrations associated with it if for some reason something to do with your system changes. Like, for instance, relatively recently, I upgraded my system disk from a 1 terabyte SSD to a 2 terabyte SSD. So I did a carbon copy clone, booted from the 2 terabyte, away we go, and Backblaze gets upset. It doesn't just go in and say, yeah, okay, everything's the same, away we go. You have to go through this process where you kind of uninstall Backblaze, excuse me, and then you reinstall it, and then it goes through this synchronization process. And it's a very, very tedious process. In actual fact, it's something I think they need to work on. Mm-hmm. There needs to be just a menu selection to do, like resynchronize or something like that. So retrospect software, which is what I use for most of my backups now, it has something like that. Whereas something goes out of sync, you have this option to go in and rebuild. So if it starts getting upset about something that doesn't seem right, you select rebuild. It basically goes through the backup and rebuilds its catalog based on the data that's been backed up. So it's like re-indexing a hard drive based on what's on the drive. And it's a bit tedious and time consuming when it does that, but you just do it and it works away in the background. You come back and everything's hunky-dory. You haven't lost anything. Your data's all still there. And it'd be great if Backblaze had something like that. But having said that, if you put all that aside, those minor annoyances, Backblaze is an incredible peace of mind, just knowing that it is just, clicking away there in the background and you have that offsite backup of all that data. And it's a really, it's a really nice thing to have. I've never had to restore anything from it because I have pretty significant backup strategies here locally, but it is really nice to know that I can call on it if I need to.
Yeah, and I think Mike lost 1 or 2 hard drives of his RAID, and it took him a little bit to figure out what the restore options were. I think he was going to get a hard drive sent to him, and if he sent, let's say, 5 terabytes on Backblaze, you need it back. They can send you a hard drive with your data, and if you send the hard drive back within a week, I believe, you don't even pay for the hard drive. They just loan it to you so you can restore your stuff. But he ended up downloading 50 gigabyte zip files until it was all there.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think it's up to 8 terabytes is the disk size that they'll send out, which is great. I mean, I have I have tons of these externals, and they're all backed up to Backblaze. But it's one of those things where you don't want to have to worry about downloading, terabytes of information.
So but it's nice that you can, though. Let's say, God forbid, your house gets a fire or a flood or whatever. It's safe in the cloud, and you can encrypt the hell out of it with personal encryption key and all that stuff. And they raised the price last year or the year before, and it's still dirt cheap for what you get. So.
Oh yeah, just the peace of mind of knowing that everything is always backed up, and whether you have Backblaze or you use a Retrospector or any of these other software packages, just the peace of mind that your data is somewhere else. Because we've all had that issue of, just the other day I was looking for the logo that I use for the live streams. It's that little Mac 84 thing. It says live on it, and it wasn't showing up. And I noticed that the SSD, the second SSD I have in this Mac Pro, was plugged in, but it wasn't recognized. And I kept rebooting, and it wasn't recognizing. I said, uh-oh. I didn't have time to troubleshoot it. I set up a live stream that was going to go in 30 minutes. So went to Backblaze. I downloaded the zip file of that document. They have a search, so I didn't even know where it was, but I was able to find it via the file name. Nice. I downloaded the zip file. I was able to use that, and I came back and fussed with it later on, and then I got the disk mounted. But it was just one of those things that it was there, and I was able to use it. I think that's the first time I really used it to download a file individually.
I've never had to. So I get to hear from other people what it's like to restore data from Backblaze, and I've used it since at least 2014 or 15, maybe longer than that. And
the interface they have takes a little bit to chug through the system that you have and everything. It's a web-based interface. You do a search, you got to wait a little bit, but it does work. And like Bruce said, it's not perfect. There are some inconsistencies with when you switch systems. I had to do that recently because for the longest time, my backup machine was still my iMac. And so I had all the hard drives plugged into the iMac, and it would back up. And then I'd take the hard drive out of here, plug it into the iMac, and it was this whole stupid routine that I would do. And so I finally had it backed up now to this machine, but you have to deactivate and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But even though the external drives I had that were backed up on that machine, it did not recognize them on this machine because they were not backed up within 30 days or whatever. So it had to re-back up like 5 terabytes of data, even though that data, I could see it on the other tier of the website. It would show that data, show the folders and everything. All the data was there. There was something that did not sync well with that. And it just decided to back up.
No, I will agree with what you say. It's not perfect. For my needs, it's 99% perfect, but there are some, like Bruce said, if you reinstall your system or upgrade your drive, they made the interface on the Mac so simple and so easy to use that it's kind of lacking in some features. It's just like Time Machine. Anyone can install Backblaze and just get going with cloud backups. But I would like a few more switches and toggles and things that, for like an advanced mode or something that you can enable. But hey, it's better than Carbonite. Anyone remember Carbonite? Java-based app that crashes every 5 seconds.
They went to be business only right after their claims of free forever, unlimited, and then that didn't work out.
And I'm sure there's other cloud backup services, but I'm not familiar with them. But maybe someone else is.
The one thing, just quickly about Backblaze, for anyone who isn't familiar with it or doesn't use it, when you pay for it, the standard one, it'll back up all of the local hard drives to a computer. It won't back up network drives. It'll only back up drives that are actually local on that computer. And I suspect that the reason they had a recent price increase is because of people like us who have like a dozen hard drives connected to their computers and are backing up an absolutely obscene amount of data from a single computer. But it's just worth mentioning. It's not. I think they do have options for doing networks, but the base entry price is for backing up a single computer and whatever hard drives are connected to that computer.
I can tell you, it's not people like us. As much data as we back up, I'm in a Facebook group called Plexaholics, and 90% of the people there back up their 20, 30, 50, 60 terabyte libraries with Backblaze. I don't know how or why, but those are the people, not us.
And look, that's all well and good, but I feel like if you have that much personal data, it's time to get like your tape backup, array going or something like that.
Well, I think I mentioned this on a recent show with Linus talking about his catastrophic data failure, and he was saying that it would cost him, I think it was between $5,000 and $10,000 to back up his data offsite using Backblaze.
Yeah,
per month. Sorry, $5,000 to $10,000 per month using Backblaze.
I can afford it.
Pretty cheap.
but if you're a business, a big business, a fortunate enough business to make a buttload of money, it's I cannot comprehend what it's like to spend 10G a month on backups. But I'm sure for a business, it makes perfect sense. I don't know if the price is as reasonable as it is for us consumers, but
it's in the instance of someone like Linus, again, just sort of using this as an example, where he's basically archiving every single video he's ever made. You do have to question the loss to the company should he lose some of that data. It doesn't stop him from continuing to do what he does.
Right.
All it really is he loses essentially some of his archive, which is still there on YouTube. You can download it from YouTube if you want a low-res copy of it. So I think there's a certain level of, risk. It's a relatively low risk if he loses that. It's not like it's a massive impact to his business if he does lose some of that data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus,
Now,
not all that content is really evergreen, right? It's how many years is your review of like some Intel CPU really going to be all that valid?
Yeah, true.
And Ron, you work in education field, right?
Yes, I do.
How do you?
I work at a school in the middle of a field.
Okay, so in that school, in the middle of a field, how are backups typically done on such a large scale?
Well, typically you have some sort of it's a multi-tiered strategy where you have backups that happen with local sort of technology. You might have like a secondary disk array. You might have tape. You might have whatever, depending on whatever that source is. But with so much stuff anymore is out in the cloud that you just have like a secondary backup, or you're partnered with that company and they have their own internal solutions for those type of things. But I would say that cloud-based storage, like offsite storage, is always a good thing. And one thing I have not heard you guys bring up yet, because I understand a lot of what you're talking about, is I just have files and I just want like a copy. Like I've got my home movies, I got my pictures of my kid from when he was little or something, and I want to make sure that I might have my in production copies. I might have a backup here at the house on like a drive that's like up in a closet or something like that, and then I've got offsite storage. The one thing I've not heard you guys say yet is untested backups aren't backups.
We were getting to that.
Yeah, that's good. I haven't seen this, guys.
No,
Sorry
well,
to jump, but I'm like, that's so super important.
Like Steve said during the intro, we talk about backups a lot, but we figured we'd take a little bit of a different approach.
Them, and that's cool.
Well, you've only been here 4 times. You missed a lot.
Announcing Ron as a permanent guest and the only guest forever.
I have already turned my bank account over to you guys. It's when do I find out if we're space spores or not?
Hold on, let me make sure it's cleared.
We need your power of attorney. That's the last thing you need to sign.
That's it. I've given you all of my blood.
It was next up in the notes actually. Testing your backups, and instead of saying test your backups, people,
I'll give you an example.
How about some horror stories?
Yeah. So my horror story is I have an 8 terabyte. It's 8 terabyte Synology NAS, and I've had it in that configuration since 2015 or something around that time. And so there are 4 terabyte Western Digital green drives in there. They've been modified so the idle down is better fit for a NAS solution because by default those drives weren't happy. And I put quite a bit of data on there, home movies, DVDs, stuff like that, photo libraries, copies of software and junk. There you go, Tom. And the Synology NAS uses a number of different file systems that you could set up. But by and large, it's RAID. So if one disk fails, it could, there's some redundancy there, which you should not rely on. Redundancy is a redundancy for the disk failing is an emergency situation. Put a brand new disk in there, you limp across the finish line, and you're all well and good. So a few years after I set up this NAS, when I started putting more important data on there, like, you know what, that's the only spot where that data is, and it's big, and it's taking up a lot of space. Let me get a backup disk for it. So the Synology software, even though mine is, I bought this unit in 2010 or so. So there's plenty of newer things out there, but I plugged an external hard disk into it and I did a backup. But it backed up in ext4 format, I believe it is. So that's a Linux file format that a disk format that is I guess pretty common. And it backed up in that format, and it took ages to do so because there's a lot of data on there. And it was only a USB 2 port, but this is an older device. And one day I just thought, you know what? I want to see if I could read that data. So I plugged it into my Mac, and I installed like every weird driver under the sun, and I was eventually able to read that disk and see the folders that were in there. But it was a good strategy and a good exercise to do because I didn't know that the files were that inaccessible. I had to download this package. I had to restart. I had to do all these weird things to get that drive mounted on my computer. So it wasn't really like the best solution because I couldn't, I would have to take it out and do all this stuff. I had to like modify something the way it mounted. It was not easy to do. But anyway, long story short, now that disk array has failed on me up until a few weeks ago. I basically turned it off and moved it, and it died. So I don't know. I didn't kick it like a football or anything like that. I don't know what exactly happened.
You did worse than looking at it, which is already dangerous. You touched it.
I touched it. I know. Shame on me. But so I had to do an emergency copy of the files that were newer than the last backup that I had. And thankfully I was able to get all the important stuff off of there. And that's why you want to actually take a look at what you've backed up. You want to make sure that data is easily accessible. If it's in a format your computer will understand. If there's a password for it, you have that written down somewhere. You give it to a family member or something in case you lose it. You want to make sure you have that, understand how that works, because it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm just backing up the time machine, or I'm just burning these disks and I'm backing it up. But until you actually test, is that data still on that hard drive? Is that optical drive actually burning the disks correctly? You want to make sure you take a few extra steps.
Agreed. And you mentioned Time Machine. I would like to make the case against Time Machine. Well, specifically, Time Machine, it should have matured a lot more than it has in the last decade. But that aside, it's not so much the software, the program, it's the solutions that Apple used to offer, the time capsule. How many people have purchased a time capsule or got one used or at some point, and they set it up, they set up Time Machine on one or multiple Macs, and it's just going. It's been going for years. Those drives have 40, 50, 60,000 hours on it. Might be 90% failed at this point, but the time capsule is never going to let you know of a drive failure unless you hear it. Like, what is that shrieking coming out of my office? Oh, it's a time capsule.
Like the Patreon stream I did with the G4 Tower and like the third hard drive died as I'm walking
that thing was cursed for real.
God.
But yeah, I'm all for, if you're going to use Time Machine, I know it's not as convenient, but set up a server, a Mac Mini server, Mac Pro server, some kind of Mac that you can actually install smart monitoring software on. So when a drive fails, you get an email or a notification saying, hey, this hard drive is having an issue, or suddenly it's a lot slower than it used to be, or something like that. So you know that the location of your backup is in good shape. So no more time capsule.
I actually use a Synology NAS. It's just a cheap one. It's a very inexpensive one. It's just got one hard drive inside it, and I use that for backing up. Not everything. I use it for backing up a few things, and that you can enable it to do Time Machine backups, so that when you launch Time Machine, it'll just automatically recognize that drive there on the network and back up to it. And it will email you if a drive is starting to fail. So it has smart monitoring on it, and you can obviously go into its control panel at any time and see it. But if it does start to get bad data from the smart monitoring, it will actually send you an email and let you know.
Yeah, Synology is a popular brand. I understand. I've never used it. I think Drobo is another one, pretty popular. I now have a Mac Mini that is completely useless. It's a 1.4 gigahertz 2014 with 4 gigs of RAM on it, so it's not actually usable for anything. And last night I started thinking, I know there's open source RAID, NAS kind of things that I can install on there, so I might start playing with that.
What was that?
Wasn't me.
I mentioned before the Linus video. I won't say any more about it other than I'm just going to drop a link into the chat for that video if anyone wants to watch it at a later date. Because the interesting thing about it is that when they have this failure, this backup failure, and strictly speaking, it's kind of more of an archive failure than a backup failure, because it's not really a duplicate of the data, it's a single copy. But because they were doing it with a RAID, with redundancy in the drives, it's kind of meant to be its own backup in that extent, in that regard, because if you have a single drive fail. But anyhow, he goes into quite a great deal of depth as to how this failure occurred.
It's very interesting.
It was ultimately human error. It was the fact that they don't have a single IT person. All of the people there are tech, so they all do a little bit of tech around the place, and it just meant that some things just never got set up properly. And it was really interesting to actually see them, and in the video, they're quite clear that they are to blame. They're not trying to blame other people. It's like their fault that this happened, and they haven't really pointed the finger at any one individual, but it is a strategy. It's their strategy. It's the lack of strategy there. So it's an interesting one. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, you should really check out that video just to drool over that hard drive case they got. It's ridiculous.
It's extraordinary.
Hard drives typically don't test themselves. Software has to instruct the hard drive to test itself. And the only way it's going to find a damaged sector or bit rot or something if it tries to read data from that location. If you have backups going back, let's say, I have a hard drive that's been spinning for 7 years. It holds my old backups, and it's still fine. And then one day you decide, I want this file. And then the hard drive finds out, like, hey, where this file used to be is now a bunch of rust or oxidation or scratches or whatever the hard drive finds. And then it knows, I think I'm failing. And then it's too late. So,
I wanted to also just quickly make mention.
Somebody's drive starting up.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
My webcam is so close to the stupid Mac Pro.
Oh, I just heard the drive spinning up. I was like, what?
I clicked on the Finder. It's like, wait, hold on, he wants to load something. And all the drives freaking spin.
When some years ago, when I was working at a company, and I was doing the IT for that company, and only a handful of people working there, tiny little place. And we set up an Xserve RAID, and we set up a tape backup system, and we got all of those things happening and using Retrospect to back up the tape. And what was really, really interesting was that most of the time when I had to restore something, I did end up having to do a restore from tape once when we had 2 drives fail in the RAID at the same time. So, it was set up with the redundancy for one drive, but a second drive failed while we were trying to rebuild from the first drive failing. And that was
That's what happened here.
Yeah, and then I had to go in and restore from tapes. So we had the tape there, which is great. But other than that, the main thing I was doing when I was using Retrospect for Restore was when staff would be, this is a design studio, and they would go to build a file, they would go to build a brochure, a flyer, a magazine, whatever. They would open up a file from last month's issue and use that as the basis to making the next one, and forget to do save as. So they would go in and do all these changes and updates, and then accidentally press save instead of save as, and write over the old file with the new stuff.
I do that all the time with the thumbnails.
That was the most common restore that I ended up having to do, was go back to get the original file back that the people had accidentally saved over top of. And I just always found that quite interesting, because that, that's something that is, there's no hardware failure. It's like, that is just completely and totally human error. Someone has literally written over or accidentally deleted a file and had to go and restore it.
Yeah.
And how do we feel about, because Steve mentioned that his thing backs up in a very specific format. I forgot the name.
Yeah, it's every one of these solutions, Drobo or Synology or whatever, they use, they'll use a standard file format, for the disk format rather, but they will use their own proprietary technology to make it read or whatever. Yeah.
So how do we feel about that? Because personally, I will never use an APFS drive as a backup drive. It's supposed to be good on paper, but Disk Warrior doesn't know what to do with it. Data Rescue doesn't know what to do with it. And those are the two most important tools I have to get data from busted or failing drives. So all those proprietary formats and disk image types and some backup solutions, they actually split up the data into thousands of fragments. And
so you're saying APFS is a proprietary format too that does that?
Who?
It's APFS.
Yeah. So I think Tech Tools will handle APFS, but Tech Tools won't attempt to repair on a drive unless it's mounted. Yeah. So if the drive is damaged to the point that it can't be mounted, Tech Tools is worthless.
I think,
Jay, if I could offer some advice, I would say definitely you probably want to back up everything to like a FAT16 partition, because then you can never lose more than 2 gigs of data at any given time.
Well, this is why we have Ron here.
Should have thought of that. Yep, should have known better.
If you PK zip those files up, you can really
well, I will
maybe pay for WinRAR. I don't know.
I will say that.
Let's go back to our 24 baud modem days.
Yeah.
Too, right?
I will say that the disk format that Synology used for the backing up of the disk, I forget what actual disk format is on the thing itself, but it's ext4, which is a very standard Linux format. And a format that is standard like that, I don't really have a problem with putting data on there. Yes, it may be inconvenient for my macOS client to read that disk, but it wouldn't be for any flavor of Linux to go in and do that. And you install the driver on OS 10, you could read that. I think that you should educate yourself, like Jay is saying, about the disk format of the disk, not the file format, the disk format of that array or whatever you're doing. Because if something happens and the data is only in that format, how are you going to mount that? How are you going to access it? And if it's an RAID array and one of those disks fails or a controller fails, you're sort of stuffed, because those 4 disks, those 2 disks, whatever they are, however you have split, that RAID array is usually configured by software or a hardware combination. And so in the essence of this Synology NAS, if my thing crashed, I would not really easily be able to take those drives out, put them in another piece of hardware, and read them like nothing happened. There's always, passwords or security or different versions of software and the OS that runs on the thing and all this stuff. So you just got to be very careful and just have a mindset of what you're doing so you don't, get yourself in a weird situation.
And anything is better than just a single hard drive like a time capsule or something. The more backups, the better. But those Synology or Drobos are great. You got them. I think you got them up to 10, 16 drives in those things, and that's fantastic. But we're not talking business here. We're talking regular people, you and me. We do not have the type of surge protection that'll protect from a lightning strike. if you have, I have 10 Drobos set up, nothing will get my data. Lightning strike, it's all gone, potentially. So don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, what I would say is probably you think about this figure that I'm about to give you and think, oh, that's a lot of money, but peace of mind, it really isn't, especially if you think about the subscription fees to a lot of these other things you pay for. But for probably around, let's say 300, 350, something like that, you could buy 2 pretty large size hard disks, 8 terabytes, 10 terabytes, something like that. You could buy an old Mac Mini. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be an old Core 2 Duo model, or you could buy a PC or something weird like that. And just have something where you plug these 2 disks in, and all that computer's job is to mirror the software, mirror it with software, between the files and stuff. And yeah, you could do that on your main computer too. But the whole purpose of having a dedicated machine to do this stuff is you could run these tasks or these cron jobs or these scripts to go out and pull data from another machine and all this stuff. So there are plenty of solutions out there. rsync is a popular one. So do your research. There's plenty of cool stuff out there. If you want, I forget the name to FreeNAS that they replaced it with. Jay, what was that?
I think it was OpenNAS.
Right? Yeah, so there's that solution to look into. So plenty of stuff. A lot of these have built-in Time Machine support, so that RAID array will actually look like Time Machine on your Mac desktop, and you can actually back up to it, and a lot of cool stuff.
I'm a little disappointed in you, Steve, that you went with the examples of a Core 2 Duo Mac Mini or a PC.
Why? They're cheap.
Xserve never even came up. And that's the cool way to go.
Not everybody has the fridge space.
I don't think Bruce wants to talk about Xserve right now.
He loves it.
Look, the truth is, that Xserve, that relationship was going really well, and then it was terrible. That Xserve could have had everything. I was going to give that Xserve like a PCI SSD, a really good graphics card. It was going to have everything, and it just dumped on me. It really did. It was just, and so now that Xserve is sitting behind a door. They fit quite well behind a door, by the way. That you put them upright and you just slide them behind a door. You hardly know they're there. Yeah, essentially the problem I had with this Xserve.
My opens the door and slams it shut.
So I've got 2 Xserves here. This one I haven't even had a chance to play. The one behind the door here, I haven't even had a chance to play with yet because I don't have a PCI display card. But someone contacted me recently and said they've got one that they think will probably suit it quite well. So I'm going to sort of get back in touch with them and say yes, please. And then the other one, it's one that's been stored in an office that clearly has a massive moisture problem because it had moisture corrosion all the way through it, and the RAID controller inside the Xserve, because there's 3 drive bays in there, and the RAID controller allows you to have those 3 drives as a RAID. That RAID controller has just been destroyed by moisture corrosion.
Did you end up telling them about it?
I did, and they said then they don't want it back. So,
are they going to invest in a dehumidifier at least?
Well, I don't know if they will. I did point out to them that the computers they're using now are far more susceptible to moisture than these old clunkers. So they're now talking about sort of more modern Mac Minis and iMacs and stuff like that, and we know that they don't like the moisture very much at all. So yeah. I've made the suggestion. I can't really do much more than that. But yeah,
offer them an insurance policy and then reaping the benefits.
Yeah, the corrosion on these is what I would expect to see of devices stored in a garage or a shed, not in a modern office. This is an office that's been. This was very specifically designed to be very environmentally friendly. So the building was designed with this, what's the word, circulating air sort of thing. What's that word?
Central air?
No, sorry. Natural convection. Convection, that's the word.
On for the wind!
Yes! And so the building is designed so that it will maintain good temperatures without the need for any electricity, or without needing to use air conditioning or heating or anything like that. Now, the trade-off is that it means that it's circulating air with the outside. So it's, whereas in a normal office that's got conditioned air, the air is always being dried out. Whereas this is, it's great from the environmental perspective of not using as much electricity. But the flip side is that it's got a lot of natural air in the place.
More in computers on a bi-yearly basis.
Yeah, I mean, look, admittedly, these computers are pretty darn old, but nonetheless, it's not the best environment for computers, quite simply. So,
So, test your backups. Don't cheap out.
The only reason hold on, though. I mean, Bruce, how did you get SeaWorld as a client? I'm just kind of curious.
They're actually my old employer, these guys. So that was why I managed to get these raids for free. I was actually talking to them about stuff, and they said they had these old computers. Talked to me about having these old things, and I said, "Oh, if you don't want them, I'll take them." And they said, "Yeah, sure." So we went in there, and
regret that.
Yeah, so I came home with the cars like this, with the X-Serve in the back. But yeah, I mean, I was very happy to get them. The raid is the next project. The backplane has to come out of that for some fixing, but because that's just full of rust as well. But anyway.
He brought home a bunch of X-Serves and expected instant gratification. And when he found out it wasn't instant gratification, now it's all the X-Serve's fault.
Well,
he'll turn around and get to it.
In my defense, I have invested lots of hours in that X-Serve, and it's better than it was. I mean, before it was doing
live streams of this. How can we confirm that?
That's right.
It's too big for the workshop. I've had to do all the work up here, and I don't have any cameras up here. I would have loved to have live streamed this stuff, to be honest. But
your satellite view from above, I think that's the X-Serve.
So you're saying the X-Serve is bigger than your bench?
It's not bigger than the bench, but it's bigger than the available space on the bench. Once you have the microscope, the hot air station, the soldering iron, all the things that are on the desk, I'm left with a space that is about the size of a Macintosh 2 board. That's about the limit of what I can work on there. And the X-Serve is like 3 times that size. So
the only comment I want to add before we move on is the X-Serve is great. Go play around with that if you want to. There are limitations to these older forms of servers, like disk size limits internal to the base. Yes, you could still plug in USB externally, FireWire externally, or whatever. But there are limitations to be aware. So just be mindful of that. And also, if you are running OS 10, not all disk formats can understand the file lengths and the structures and all that stuff. So you just want to make sure that whatever you're going to use as your backup solution is compatible with your system.
I just will finish this just very quickly, just to mention this is the problem that I have faced with this X-Serve based on what I wanted to do. So I want to put on Open Core and install Monterey on it, which I can technically do. However, I need to have a metal compatible display card, which it did not come with. It didn't come with a metal compatible display card. So I want to put a metal compatible display card in there. But every one that I have found so far is too tall for the PCI slot. So you can't actually get it in there at all, physically get it into the space to then be able to install Monterey on it. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. I'm needing to get hold of a single height metal compatible PCI display card for the X-Serve.
You could buy a PCIe extension cable that will do that.
And hang it out the back or something.
Yeah.
Or you could, there's so much rust in there already. Just, bend it with the hammer, or just bang it with the iHammer Pro. Just make a little hump there and just put the card right in.
Or you just cut the piece out where the card's going to sit at, and then you can put the cover back on. See?
Here's an interesting thing. So this is my old boss. My old boss, he believes heavily in redundancy. So when I went and collected this,
that's how I got fired there.
It came with. I mean, he gave me all the stuff. It came with a brand new replacement power supply, a brand new replacement cooling fan assembly, a brand new replacement logic board, which I've already put into it because the old one was covered in rust. So I am actually able to replace a lot of the rusty bits and pieces in it with brand spanking new stuff. So it is actually the one part which I don't have brand new is the RAID controller. So And that's why I'm having this trouble.
Of course.
Okay.
That's always
I'll stop.
And now I'm going to really finish this off by asking Ron, because we haven't heard a lot from Ron on this topic.
Oh, we will in a moment.
He has he works in this environment day to day, and for me, I've been out of the game for about 4 or 5 years now. Any more you want to add on backups? Not so much for large schools or businesses, but for the common folk like me. Any good tips we can take away for backing up?
I would say that probably your best solution, Jay, is going to be all of your 8 terabyte drives, all your 10 terabyte drives and things. Just bring them to my house. I'll keep an eye on them. Offsite backups. Again, just joking, but being serious, that it doesn't take much anymore for you to have a catastrophic loss at your home. So if you have things that are irreplaceable, don't trust them to a firebox. I know there's a lot of people that are like, especially here in the US, that are just like, oh, well, I bought the First Alert firebox and threw my CDs and stuff in it. It's not like it's heat excluding. It's just, it's going to be enough to where if a joist falls on it and it's on fire, that those documents are going to be maybe safe in there. CDs aren't going to survive unless you specifically buy something that specifically has thermal ratings. But offsite backups can't recommend that enough. You know somebody, you can put them, like if you have a locking cabinet or something in your office at work, or a safety deposit box at the bank or something. Just, take those backups, get them offsite, and then test those backups once you start your father's son setup for doing your backups. Sorry, it's all my IT stuff is old, so there's that idea where you're always replacing, like you've always got something, an intermediary backup. You don't just have, here's our latest, here's production, and here's test. You've always got an intermediary step there, so that way that if there is something that's really, really wrong, you've got one more thing to fall back on. So multi-stage backup, do it offsite, test your backups.
And of course, there is one other really important tip when backing up. This is one final tip for when you're backing up. Always check your rear view mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't be like Mike.
Yeah, don't be like Mike. Okay.
Well, no, Mike was fine. It was his dad. It was his dad that was just like, well, we put new speed bumps out here. Crazy.
I don't remember those being there last.
That wasn't there on the way in. What the hell?
All right, so it's time to officially get ourselves the heck out of that topic, and we're going to talk about MARCHintosh for the next 45 minutes. So, MARCHintosh started last year. It was the brainchild of Ron, who's trying to peek over that. Let's just move Ron up just a wee bit. There
I was just getting
Sorry,
ready.
Jay.
So, I feel like a totem pole here. The saddest totem pole you've ever seen.
There you go.
All right, thanks. So MARCHintosh started last year, the brainchild of Ron and Joe. Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, obviously. Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. This guy right here. Yep, there you go. And I bought the domain and put the website to the thing. So we all chipped in. But anyway, last year was the debut of MARCHintosh. It was an excellent event. We had a lot of people participating and everything. So what I'd like to do now is throw it over to Ron, because Ron is sort of, partially responsible for all of us putting in that MARCHintosh hashtag. And I have the website up here. I'm going to click through some things. But Ron, if you'd like to talk a bit about, your expectations or your experience yet, this is the last day of the event, but I'm sure things are going to leak over to the next few days. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There'll be people that'll keep using the hashtag all throughout the year, I hope. But again, the whole thing of MARCHintosh and how it started with a conversation that I had with my good friend Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, and I said, Joe, there are all of these events out there for different sort of retro computing projects, for retro computers, for different hobbies. Why doesn't Macintosh have one of those? And he goes, yeah, I don't really know, but maybe it's a good idea to kind of start one. So we threw some ideas around. We talked about like Macs in May or something like that. And then Joe kind of stumbled on we need to do it sooner than later to keep people interested. So we should probably go ahead and do, hey, there's Joe. There's Joe. Do something in March and just try to get the event rolling. And so with spitballing and things like that, we came up with MARCHintosh. just as a name for the event, something maybe kind of fun that people can have fun with. But again, you've got all these events. You've got December, you've got Septandy, you've probably got TRS 80 Tuesdays. I don't know, but a lot of these events very much felt gate kept. Especially December, there were a lot of big channels that were kind of doing things with it, but not small creators. And the small creators that were having to like generate their own artwork. They were having to kind of watch those other channels, figure out what the style is, maybe what the how to best kind of play to that theme. And so one of the things that we absolutely set out kind of in the beginning, we had kind of a planning meeting. Steve was there. We talked about how the event needs to be very open-ended where people can just pick up and go. They can have artwork that's ready to go. And Javier, who was a very nice Have Master. I've said like Jav Master forever, and he's never hit me. So what a great guy. But Have Master has, he was the one who created the artwork for the event. And we sat down, Joe and I, and we kind of created like a style guide and how to participate and things like that. And it hopefully made it easy for people that were wanting to kind of participate and maybe, or just like, I got some ideas for some things, but, I didn't really know where to get started, or people that aren't like in our immediate circle in the community that wanted to do things, that they didn't have to feel like they needed permission to do stuff. It's like, here's the toys, go create great things. And people did last year. They made some really, really great stuff. And then we did a like last year. Yeah, we did a event where we kind of had like an introductory night, and a lot of people showed up for that to kind of discuss ideas, pitch ideas, things like that. That was a lot of fun. That's where Steve was like, "Oh, let's get the website going. Let's get the URL bought and the host name bought and things." And then, so things went really, really well. Moving into this year, we had another one of those opening nights where people could get around. There were a ton of people in there. Adam was in there for like 3 or 4 people. MARCHintosh over there on the Twitters. But people came in and they had some really great ideas, and they shared things and shared their excitement more than anything else. And so this year we've made so many new friends. We have seen people that have done just amazing new things that weren't necessarily like videos. Like our good friend Eric Helgeson made some blog posts that kind of just talk about his like, oh, here's my ultimate like System 7.1 setup and things. And so many people came in and sponsored the event and got people the hardware that they needed. I'm just so proud of our community and how everybody came together to really support this. So
yeah, and it exploded too, and it's interesting because as part of that kickoff, especially last year and this year, obviously you want to get a lot of people who are have many more subscribers, but much larger reach than any of our channels do individually. And so these are people who are very known in the tech community and stuff like that, who produce content or videos and stuff like that. And most of them have a very long production workflow. So they're always 30 or 60 days out or a few weeks out or whatever. So when it comes time to do an event where something is timed, where it's only for March, they don't necessarily want to participate, or they don't have the bandwidth to do so, or maybe they're just not interested in creating back content. There's all these factors into play. But when you reach out and you figure out that, hey, some of these people can actually participate, it really just explodes. And so we had Colin of This Does Not Compute did just stuff that was Apple related and put the hashtag in there. Clint of LGR did a blurbs video on his second channel, and it just happened to be about a Macintosh Color Classic, so he put the hashtag in. Ken of the Computer Clan did a video, and he put the hashtag in. These are all people that brought a lot more visibility to this event. And because it wasn't like a Septandy or a December where it was kind of like, shh, don't tell anybody, only good stuff has to, you have to have the seal of quality. No, we didn't do any of that, and I think it was to the success of MARCHintosh was because of that, because there were so many people that just wanted to come in, do a blog post, do a video. There was somebody who was knitting logos, Macintosh logos. I saw.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And that's why this year there's this list here that I was clicking through as we did Ron's little description here. We have all the tag content on YouTube. There's tag content on Twitter. There's tag content on Tinker Different, and then there are some other blogs and stuff that are here. And what's cool about that is you could just go through here and see all these cool pages. This page is hosted on a Mac Plus. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, that has to be reset every once in a while. It went offline when the Apple Talk gateway went offline due to a power supply failure. But what are you going to do? And here's those lovely knitted items that I was talking about before. So, I mean, how cool is that? So there's a lot of cool stuff that's been going on for MARCHintosh that just has not been video related or related to something that is maybe a podcast or something like that. But there's been tons of stuff.
You raised a very good point with the production schedule. I mean, I am so busy that I haven't even released my PowerPC Challenge stuff from January yet. Give me about a year and a half, and I will get to it.
January 2023, Jay, you got this.
I'll get back to us.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of our community, and I'm so excited about all the people that participated this year that like a lot of people that were just like, oh, I've never done any Mac content on my channel before. And I'm going to take a chance on this and just do something fun. And there were so many people that were just kicking in, and they were saying like, it's like, I was working on this and it failed and I need such and such. And people were like, oh, I've got one of those and I'll send you one of those. So it created a lot of community goodwill as well, which I don't think we could ask for more, kind of like that camaraderie and stuff that kind of came out of this too. Plus I hear that, because MARCHintosh. Oh, look, sorry.
We have to have our waving hands aficionado present the logo.
It's just not the same anymore.
There you go.
Yeah. That was awful. Yeah. It's awful nice of Sean to do a face reveal. Waited until MARCHintosh to do his face reveal.
It took time out of a very busy schedule, torturing old computers.
But it's really cool, all the people that did fun things and came together and just made stuff happen and got out of their comfort zone. Some of these channels that were they might have just exclusively done, like last year, Dr. Dave's Diversions. He does a lot of Amiga content, so he did MARCHintosh content with an Amiga kind of twist about like how like you could run the Macintosh stuff through kind of like emulation, like on the Amiga and stuff. So I mean, I learned a lot of stuff too. Eric from Eric's Edge, who's in the chat here tonight, did a series of videos all about HyperCard. So if you are interested in learning about HyperCard programming, that might sound a little bit dry, but you can scrub through the video and hit the stuff where it's
I'm still trying to build my own Wordle. It's not working.
Well, and that's the great thing about this is these resources are going to just be out there for quite a number of years. So people will be able to go back, you can rewatch those things, learn new skills, make new friends, just have fun.
I have a question.
Sure.
How do the MARCHintosh submissions of 2022 compare with 2021 in terms of the number of submissions that came through?
It was more than a few by a bunch.
That's
our official numbers.
That's good. Okay, let's do that with an Apple-style graph. I can't see it. It's yeah. Sorry, this is
you need to replace your ribbon on your image writer. It's so faint.
Right.
I think when there's that roundup after the show, after the event, maybe we'll have some detailed analytics of that. But just like Trina was mentioning in the chat, she went out of her comfort zone and started messing with PowerBooks, much to the dismay of me and Mike when we were yelling at FireWire cables for 2 hours. That was a lot of fun.
I feel your pain, Trina.
Yes, yeah, we all feel your pain with FireWire and target disk mode when hard drives don't want to cooperate. But
I watched that and it was just sort of like, wow, this is taking a long time, and everybody was like, yeah, it's gonna take a while. FireWire 400.
Questionable old hard drives, yeah. So Trina is actually doing a stream after the show. So if you have not checked out Trina's Technobabble channel, check that out, and we'll put a link later on.
the title of her channel is a little off because there's a lot of good information out there too. So some of it's like watching my channel too, where you can you obviously tell that I'm kind of learning along the way on working on something. So, but it's a fun channel. Sorry, Bruce, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I had the same problem this year as I had last year in that my work has just got really, really busy, and so the YouTube, I had all of this stuff in the pipeline, the production schedule, all these things I was going to release, and I have done none of it. So I will probably be having MARCHintosh through April, maybe May. Well,
I'm looking forward to the video where you show us how to build our own Sonic cleaner.
Everybody is.
So that's some key MARCHintosh content that I'd love to see before
midnight. I bought one already, so because
got to get to that for sure.
Next thing you see, Bruce is lugging the excerpt into his because he's like, I'm not working on that. Working on the excerpts.
So can I tell you, I've basically got the video in Final Cut Pro, and I've got all the audio recorded, so I know how long the video is, and it's bloody long. And I have put certain sections, where I've done footage, and I've done animations and things like that, and other ones I'm showing photos of stuff that I've done, and I've put them in, and then there are these massive gaps in between where I've got to fill in those gaps, and I cannot begin to tell you how tempted I am just to release it at the moment with all those gaps in it, and people can just stare at a black screen while they just listen to the audio.
I have ran into the same problem with the clones episode, and you know what I did? I took your advice, which you obviously didn't do during this video, and that is to film yourself talking. So then, when you have those blank spots, it's just you going.
Yeah, that's what I have to do.
We'll just put an animated image of you going.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I've got the two ultrasonic cleaners, and I'm going to kind of stand in between them. And then just putting the camera at me while I'm talking, and then I can just sort of.
I think you should buy a third and juggle them.
or definitely to make sure that this is in it, though.
It's Bondi.
Bruce, you have a cat, right?
I have two.
So this is what you do: you put the ultrasonic cleaners there. Okay, you get a laser
one
pointer.
cat in each.
You get some mirrors. You just put the laser pointer like with a mirror and a fan, so it's like dispersing it. And you're talking, but the eyes are not going to be on you. The eyes are going to be on the cats, and you just let the cats do all the work.
Yeah,
that's serious.
Probably not a bad idea. Yeah,
it works for Mike. It works for Dave. It works for a few other people.
Even Dan from Canadian Computer Collector, we get a bit of cat action in his ones as well. So.
Yep, June the cat. Yep.
I got to shout out Dan, Canadian Computer Collector. Check out his latest short. Someone asked him, what does he do with all of his old computers? And he has the definitive answer. You've got to go and check that out. It's
I'm not going to play it here because it's too good. You have to give him the views on his channel, Canadian Computer Collector on YouTube. But you also have to check out the video that he did of unboxing the Macintosh LC, because maybe I have a shameless cameo in there. Which is hilarious. It was all his idea. So that's that video here that you want to check out. But subscribe to him. He's almost at 1,000. So come on. Show him some much.
Come on. Show him a little love, those dirty Canadians. Just they need all the help they can get.
Oh, boy. Speaking of people that need all the help they can get, it's time for What Were They Smoking? So we have two interesting submissions here. The first one I'm going to skip for a second. I'm going to go in a different order. So just a heads up. This was one that I spotted because I'm a weirdo and I like image writer printers. But there was this.
You don't say.
I'm sorry. I have a problem. So there is this auction here, and this is for a Apple dot matrix printer. Now, what makes this one interesting is it's the 15-inch wide carriage version of this printer. Sold for a very short amount of time. They did not sell well. A lot of people just didn't end up buying this stupid thing because it was expensive, and not a lot of people needed to print wide. A few businesses did. So, a few problems with this. First off, the bidding price of $383 is a bit ridiculous. The second is that this thing is obviously just stored outside. So that's probably not ideal.
Where are actual pictures of the printer?
And that's the other problem here. There's no pictures of the damn printer, even though this is listed as new. There's no pictures of what's inside the box. It could be a box of discarded keyboards and crap. Like, look behind. Look at all that crap that's just piled there and looking sad. And I think that's a Macintosh LC or a 2SI behind there. Yeah,
it's like an LC where your mouse pointer is.
Yeah, and this is like a waste place or whatever. But
in defense of whoever is selling this, I don't think the box has been stored outside because it would have been destroyed. I think they dragged it outside.
But also, look at the crap they're putting on the box. Like what? Like
that's just to keep the lid down. So
they are showing how strong this lid is. Yeah. This is like a 40-year-old printer.
This looks like a scenario where they dragged a bunch of stuff outside to take pictures of it for eBay. Because the box.
Steve, you're barely 36. Do you think that you could take all that stuff piled on top of you? I think not.
Well, we'll find out in tomorrow's live stream.
I can excuse all of those things if this was going up for a $20 price tag.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. They want now. This auction already ended, and they've relisted it at the same exact price. Because I have been watching this because I thought, well, if it goes for $10, even if it's a stupid amount shipping, maybe I could justify that in my stupid mind. But no, they want $383. I don't know where they got that figure from. Probably from looking at Jonathan Goldman's
and $100 shipping.
Too much. And $100
29 cents for. I mean that's just a amount they pulled out their butt. I think
exactly. Yeah, and this is all their description. They don't even know it's an image writer. They don't even put that on there. They don't even show any pictures inside of it. But now they have it listed as open box. But the previous auction said new.
So how many emails have you sent this person to ask for photos of the
5,000 emails. They have not responded to any of them.
How many of them started, "How dare you, sir"?
Only 3,400 of them.
All right.
So what's that in the bottom left hand?
What is this guy's rating on here?
This is an iDock, but it does not have the power cable. I already have one of these already. I want to do a video about it. It's basically a swivel stand for your iMac, and you have ports on it. Hush, Bruce.
Oh, cool.
Oh, boy. Yeah, they're pretty neat. But, yeah, this is the what were they smoking that we were talking about. So the question is, what were they smoking? I'm going to guess some of that asphalt and crud that was outside in these pictures.
Definitely dust.
Okay, I'm looking at his feedback, and it's all as him as a buyer. There's no seller.
Nobody has been insane enough to buy something from this.
Yeah.
He's got a make an offer button there, doesn't he? So you could offer $20 if you wanted.
Yeah, there is no.
We should all commit right now to going. Everybody offer $20. Just $20.
No, even the $100 shipping, I can't afford that.
Just flood him.
You nearly talked yourself into it, didn't you, Steve?
I nearly. That's still $120.
Okay, Steve, $1. So that way, if it's by Price is Right rules, you might win.
How about minus $80?
Yeah.
You know what, Steve? If you put in a bid for $20, I'll go halves in the shipping with you.
All right. I'm gonna do 25, just not upset him.
Okay.
It's gonna be rejected immediately.
Offers left. You already made 3.
Oh God, yeah.
What did you offer, Steve? What did you?
I said $25. So, but anyway, what were they smoking, and we'll bring it to this.
I think he was smoking part of that box there, or whatever was on top of it.
What do you think, Ron?
I think that it's probably definitely like Drano. Or something like that. You're out in the yard all day and you're like, you're next to the burning tire fire and all that, and you go in for lunch and you're like, what smells like bleeding sinuses? So I just don't know.
Oh boy. All right, any other guesses on what they were smoking?
Oh, Eric said axle grease.
All right, so here is the second one. Now, this is a bit interesting. Ken actually just released a video today about this, which has been in the works for a while. This is a prototype piece of plastic, so don't get too excited.
Columbo! Relisted, by the way.
Yeah, relisted multiple times. This was originally on Craigslist back in the summer for $12,000 or something like that. The most poorly shot item on eBay, I think, is here.
Did they do this with like an eyesight camera?
Yeah, exactly. Like 640 by 480 was all their internet could upload. Look at that shag carpet, you can tell.
I love it.
So yeah, this is just a piece of plastic, although there's a power supply in there.
Well, or faked, you know.
Well, I know Ken got some spies of his to go out and take photos. I'm very curious if
I have to say, as absurd as this listing is, do watch the video of Ken's. It's very, very important because this thing is actually ridiculously rare, and I think anyone who is a serious collector of these would love to have this in their collection. Yes, the value, $10,000, is very silly, and for something of this level of importance, the photos are just a joke. But the fact that this guy let some people go out and take some better photos of this for Ken's video, I thought it shows that this person isn't a complete, swear word, because if he was just kind of like, oh no, you have to buy it or something like that. I mean, he was actually, I think, quite good about it. So,
well, he was probably hoping that it would actually probably bring him some bids being in that video too.
Yeah, probably.
But
a point that Ken made in this video is listing this on eBay for $10,000 is not the way to sell an item like that.
Exactly.
It's not the right
price,
channel.
You can back up a petabyte to Backblaze for a month.
Yeah.
But the shipping, though, the shipping is at least good. $11.60.
Well, I'd say, something like this, it's extremely difficult to put a value on. But at the end of the day, it's a hunk of plastic, even if it's a rare one. And so, like Ken was saying in his video, a fair collector's price for the ideal collector who would want something like this, probably $2,000 to $3,000, something like that, due to its
which still blows my mind for a piece of plastic.
Oh yeah, I'd offer $100. That's the best I could do.
It's still dirty as hell. I mean, some of those pictures, even with the crappy camera, you could see that the front is just like.
Well, these are the second.
Steve, bring the photos back up. Bring the photos back up.
Struggling with.
I'm looking at
do it faster, Steve.
There we go.
That one right there.
Bring them back up. Go back.
This will take it with a quick
photos.
take here. So, this is the best one. I like this one. It's just,
I like that one too. But keep
see
going.
the dirt on it, though. I mean,
yeah.
Like I would buy that for $20 and put all the Mac Pro parts in it.
Well, the thing is that I've got a kind of rather obscene amount of Mac 2 logic boards, and so I would love to just take one of those and put it in that. If that has a power supply in it, actually has a functional power supply in it, how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
I mean, because at the moment that's empty, but imagine if it actually had. Imagine if it was working. Just saying.
Pause. Steve, that is that computer's last known photo. like this would be on Unsolved Mysteries, where it'd be like,
well, yeah.
So anyway, he went out back to smoke by the dumpster at the Apple store, and we never saw him again.
But look at that, the 70s shag carpet, the 70s wood paneling.
It has been pointed out that is not shag carpet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's sculpted carpet.
But I mean, for a collector. I mean, unless you're a museum like that,
you're right.
Like that Polish computer museum, I would get it. It would be an investment for them to display. For anyone else, just to say that, ooh, look, I have this. I don't see this being more than $500 for the really eccentric, or what's the word I'm looking for the really hardcore collectors. Like I know a guy in Florida that has a prototype 2009 4,1 Mac Pro with a red logic board. I love the Mac Pro. I only have 15 of them, but even I would not pay more than $200 for that thing.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
I think this is really cool. I think it's a really neat piece of history. I would love to see the B-roll that Ken didn't put in the video, as far as like all the backs of the photos and like what's behind some of the doors or whatever. Like I'd love to see that.
Yeah. But that front panel there actually opens up. That curved panel there flips out and open. And a really interesting thing to look at this is they made a desktop version in the same design style that looks suspiciously like the 2SI.
That's why there's my photo of the 2SI in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check out Ken's video. I don't know what they were smoking here. I'm going to guess the carpet.
Yeah.
But I did, at the end of the day, this should be in a computer museum somewhere. That's where
totally.
It should be. It should be purchased by someone like that. It should be sold through, the suitable channels that enable something like this to end up in a museum like that.
I was going to make an offer of $25.
Do it.
I'm not logged in. I'm not going to type my password.
I'll go halves in the shipping.
Bruce, that is very dangerous. Stop saying that.
Oh, the hats on shipping's only $5. So,
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But with the exchange rate, man, that's like 12 US.
Yeah.
Deep.
Oh boy. So that's what were they smoking here. Please, we have submissions always open for this. If you find something silly like that, whether it be on Facebook or eBay or wherever, send us a screenshot or a link in our Discord. We'd be happy to share that with you all, because that is something that we always enjoy looking for, these crazy what were they smoking segments. And also our Eep Quack suggestions. We haven't had a lot of those recently, so we haven't actually been putting
come on, people.
You have 2 weeks from now. The next week we're off. We'll come back the next week after that. So submit your Eep Quacks. We are in Discord. There's a Discord link there. You can join us, and most of us, especially Ron, just hang out in the Discord channel just nonstop. So that's really what we do. We also have a website, macyak.com. You could go there. There's a bunch of articles on there. You also want to make sure you subscribe to this channel. We only put out a video once a week. Well, once every 2 weeks. See, I'm running on autopilot here.
Old habits.
Yeah, I know. But make sure you subscribe. You hit the little bell icon, so you make sure you're notified. Make sure to like the video as well. That tells you that we're not a terrible channel. And you can also
Smash that like button.
crap out of me. Oh my god!
that's what I meant to do.
Yeah.
And also check out tinkerdifferent.com. There's a lot of great stuff, especially all the Marchintosh things that we were talking about. There's a lot of great content on there. And check out marchintosh.com. And don't forget Trina's streaming after this, so you go find her channel, Trina's Tech Babble, and subscribe to that too.
We've got to mention the giveaway.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yes.
Please fill me in.
A giveaway?
Yes, there's a giveaway, guys, where we're giving things away. The Retro Repair Roundtable, which is the every 2 week show, Johnny Come Lately every 2 week shows. First and third Sundays of the month, Retro Repair Roundup. Rudy from Rudy's Retro Intel donated a Macintosh SE to kind of a project that we've all been working on, where he donated the machine. He sent it to Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. Joe went through and tuned it up and maxed out the RAM and put a burn-free CRT in it, and then shipped it to me, and I put a Blue SCSI in it and set it all up with software and some games and fun apps and things like that. Steve was kind enough to donate a keyboard to the project and a mouse to the project. So we've got that. And then it is off to Javier, who is retrobrighting the machine. And then on this Sunday show, we are actually going to do a giveaway. And Steve, I sent you a link via Twitter, if you would not mind terribly throwing that up in a timely manner.
Don't you have access to do that, Ron?
No, I don't, because I'm logged in as myself. I'm not.
Are we talking about Javier, the killer of moth?
Yes.
Is that him?
Yes, the killer of raw scuzzies. But basically, we're going to give it away on Sunday. And Steve is going to,
there we go.
maybe in 20, 30 minutes, put in the show notes or the description or something.
It's there now.
Okay. The link of where you can go to enter. If you go and you watch the video, you can then follow the instructions and enter to win.
You only have to suffer through 4 minutes and 24 seconds of that.
Yeah, it's a real short. It's not like something I did where it's like 9.5 minutes of faff, and then you finally get to whatever it is that we're going to talk about. So,
Not like
but yeah,
Mac.
please come and register.
I have a very quick technical question.
Sure.
If someone could help. This here is a keyboard.
Yeah.
Cordless keyboard, or whatever they call it. It has a little switch here. Little switch you can't see because it's too bright.
I know. I have one.
Switch. That's the switch.
On-off switch.
That's the white balance switch.
What is that switch for?
On off.
Turn it off.
So, what if you switch it off and it still works?
Switch is broken. Or there's a different keyboard connected.
No, it's definitely this keyboard. If I switch this off and then it still works, I'll just press the eject button. My eject thing just popped out.
Well, from all the things I hear about Australia and electronics, it's probably very corroded in there, so the switch might not work.
I think Sean cursed it. I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know. I wanted to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong.
All right, that's okay, Bruce. That's the emergency off button, and it doesn't work. So that's
I actually have mine is with I always use the lightning connector connected all the time. So
yeah, I'm cool. I use wired.
All right, we're ending this as being too silly.
all right
with it.
Thank you very much, Ron, for joining with your hip cool sunglasses. We'll catch you all on Discord, and we'll see you guys in just another week or two. So
all right, bye,
take care,
everybody.
and bye.
Adios.
Good night, everybody.